Well, this is called Woke Zone. 2 words. It's a channel on YouTube if you want to watch it. And this video is called Kids Identifying as Animals.
Okay, I've got to rant for a minute. Just when I thought school couldn't get any weirder, it did today. I'm a sub, and the most important thing we do is take roll so the school gets paid. So I'm looking at the seating chart as I'm going up and down the rows and marking who's here and who's not. I get to the third row and I hear this, meow! Excuse me? Excuse me? I start looking on the ground. Go to the fourth row, everything's good. Go to the fifth row, everybody's there. Then I hear, meow! I'm like, okay, what's up with that? Who's doing it? And this little girl in the very front row says, you have to meow back at him. He identifies as a cat. Are you kidding me? Said, is there a litter box in here somewhere? My sarcasm self probably shouldn't have said that. He gets up and he storms out of the classroom. And I'm like, rough. And of course, the entire class is laughing. And I think, no problem, no foul. I go to the office. You ready for this? You check out. They said, we no longer need your services if you can't identify with all the children in the classroom. And you wonder why they don't have any subs. I told the lady, I said, I didn't know cats were considered people. I thought they were pets. Another school off my list.
Well, if these kids are identified as cats, why are they in school? School is for humans.
He does identify as a cat, but I cannot take him to a vet because I tried that, and the veterinarian told me that because he has human anatomy, that he does not know how to work on him or diagnose him with anything, and he legally cannot. So, and while I do think that is a form of discrimination, because, you know, my son, if he says he's a cat, he is a cat. And he needs to be treated like that, like one, you know? But I'm not going to press charges because I know that he could lose his license if he did work on my son. So I'm not gonna try to sue him or anything, so don't worry. But this is something that I want to raise awareness on, because I do think that people that identify as an animal should be able to go to the vet. You know, that's the medical attention that they're wanting. And so I really do appreciate you asking this question. I think it's an important topic that we discuss, because if we don't, we're never going to make progress. And these people that identify as cats are going to have to continue going to human doctors.
This is what child-led, society looks like.
Joined now by our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me, dude. Great to be with you.
Well, we live in a time when maybe you and I ought to reconsider these beards, because you have children now in American public schools, and this is utterly predictable. If you're going to let kids pretend to be whatever gender they say they are, if you're going to let them to engage in this kind of denial of biological reality, why not allow them to become identifying as furries? Tell us what a furry is, Alex.
Yeah, you almost feel ridiculous talking about it, Duke, but there are now hundreds of thousands of kids all across this country in government schools. I mean, brainwashed zombies, I feel so bad for them, that are identifying, they might be identifying as a dog or a cat or a kangaroo, and so they come to school wearing tails, they come to school, painting whiskers on themselves, they put little fake ears on, and like literally, the ones that identify as cats, they'll meow at people, the ones that identify as dogs will bark at people, they'll growl at people. In some cases, we've got reports of children biting other students as if they were dogs, and this whole scandal kind of broke because there was a report in Michigan about a school putting a litter box in one of the bathrooms for the children that identify as cats. Now, the superintendent there said that wasn't true, but the fact that the kids are dressing up as animals and barking and meowing is absolutely true. It's demonstrably true, and it's happening all across this country.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. What is this adult inability now? I mean, this is the same adult progressives who just 5-6 years ago were lecturing children about not being, little girls aren't princesses, that's misogynist and patriarchal, we can't dress our girls up like that, but dressing them up as anteaters or whatever is perfectly normal and acceptable. What is it? What is this concession of reality that adults From time immemorial, it has been the role of parents to ease children through education into an adult world. Why has the progressive left completely abandoned this?
Yeah, they're supposed to direct and teach.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head at the start of the program, Duke, when you said that this is just the logical progression of what's been going on. I mean, if a boy can identify as a girl and wear a skirt and go into the girls' bathroom and change with the girls in the locker room, we got to be logically consistent here. Why can that child not then identify as a cat or a tree or a zebra? Right? There's absolutely no logical reason why a child should be able to pick their gender, but not be able to pick being some other type of creature. And I think the real explanation for this, Duke, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but the real is they want to deny that there are eternal moral truths that apply everywhere at all times for all eternity. Then they are handed over to a depraved mind, and they believe absolutely idiotic things like that it's acceptable to pick a new gender, or that it's acceptable to pick being a cat or a dog and to behave like a dog. And so, where is the logical ending point of this? Is there any off ramp where we can kind of de-escalate this situation? And honestly, I don't know. I don't know how crazy this gets before people finally come to their senses.
Why can't some clever kid identify as a teacher and then change his own grades? I mean, or
identify as a principal and start firing everybody.
Or why can't I identify as a Social Security receiving senior citizen and start getting paid? Why is that not possible? It is possible.
Using the logic of these people, there's absolutely no reason why you should not be able to do that. Hey, I should be able to identify as the President of the United States. You better let me into that White House. You don't want to discriminate against me based on my perceived identity.
How does that help the left undermine parental rights?
It helps the left undermine everything, from parental rights to civilization to common sense to basic standards of behavior. I mean, again, I don't see where the logical endpoint is here, but if we continue on this road, it literally means the complete implosion of everything that makes civilization possible. I mean, we could literally go back to being, jungle-dwelling savages swinging from trees, and that's why we need to resist this madness before it goes any further.
This is TIC UK, 2 words, TIC space UK on YouTube if you want to watch.
Stephen believes he is an African leopard and likes to go by his leopard name, which is Shroud. He has strong feline traits and likes to run and hunt.
Climbing and running and stuff it's very natural. It's very instinctual. So when I'm climbing up a tree or something and I lay down on the branch, it's pretty close to what I remember.
What do you remember?
His leopard side is based on a series of intense memories.
When I was little, I had a lot of smaller memories. Usually I was laying on a tree branch or sitting on a rock and looking out across the savannah. And this was before I even knew what the savannah was, before I'd even seen a photograph or a video. Externally, I am a human being. I have these hands and this body, but internally, I am a leopard. I have the mannerisms and the behaviors, the thoughts, and the memories of an African leopard. I don't consider myself human at all, other than my body. I see my body as more of a vessel that doesn't match what I really have inside.
Piers Morgan on Sky News on
Catherine
YouTube.
Belsing is the self-styled strictest head teacher in Britain with a stellar reputation for teaching children basic manners and respect and hard work ethic. I can't think of a better person, frankly, to speak to when I read that children in schools across Britain are now identifying as cats, horses, dinosaurs, and in one case a moon. A reminder of the leaked audio recording that brought the bizarre scandal to light, featuring a teacher reprimanding children for refusing to accept a classmate's decision to identify as a cat.
If they want to identify as a cat or something, then they're like genuinely unwell. Yeah, they're crazy.
You're questioning their identity.
I wasn't a question. I was just saying about the gender. I didn't say anything about them.
But where do you get this idea from? There's only two genders. Gender is not linked to do with not linked to the parts that you were born with. Gender is about how you identify. But you identify with the gender, with the sexual organ that you're born with, or you're with. That's basically what you're saying, which is really despicable.
What did you make of that when you heard that tape and read the story behind it?
Yeah, well, actually, for some weeks before that, I had been talking about cats in schools because I know of teachers in schools where that's happening.
It's called furries, right? This is a real thing.
Furries, exactly. And in some places, you know, they're able to wear ears and tails and things. And the thing is, I don't blame the schools because...
Don't you?
No, because in fact, in some places, the parents are coming in and telling the schools, this is how you must treat my child. So
why don't the schools just say no? You would, wouldn't you?
Well,
I bet there are no kids at your school dressing up as cats, identifying as cats. Are
no,
there?
that's true. No, there are.
You wouldn't allow it, would you?
Well, no, but I mean, I'd have a conversation with the parents, and that's the thing. This isn't just a school problem. This is a societal problem, and it's something that we need to talk about and think, well, what is acceptable and what isn't, and the problem is there's no guidance for schools as well. So head teachers and ordinary teachers in the classroom, what are they meant to do? I do feel sorry for them, really, because they're getting it in the neck, and I get that it's difficult.
But doesn't it? Well, I don't think it is that difficult. If a kid identifies as a horse in the classroom, you're not obliged to tolerate it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think you would.
No, but, you know, I do have secondary school children, you know, if they're primary, they're young, if you have children that are finding it difficult to fit in, and then they decide to behave in a particularly, it's a slightly strange way. How much do you support? At what stage do you feel you're enabling them or you're helping them? You know, it's difficult. It's not a straight cut as just saying, well, this is just, you know, silly. I mean,
this also plays into limitless self-identity, which must be causing all sorts of problems at all sorts of schools.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? And what's your view of that?
Yeah, well, it is difficult. I mean, and we need guidance. It's very hard because it isn't just the schools, it's also the parents. And the difficulty that any head teacher has is trying to balance what they feel is right for the children at their school and what they're offering, and then also trying to do what's right by the parents and what the parents want.
But there are now girls' schools marketing themselves as girls' schools,
yes,
selling fees as girls' schools,
yes,
for their girls to go to a girls' school, who now outlaw the use of the word girl because
yes,
there may be some people identifying as non-binary
yes,
who may be offended. I find that absurd.
Yes, but then the rest of society possibly doesn't, and that's the difficulty.
Well, I think most of society does, actually.
Well, but would they say it out loud? You know,
no,
that's the thing.
But that's where we've got to. I would, because I think it's nuts.
Yeah.
And also I think it's very hypocritical of a school to market itself as a girls' school,
yes,
and then suppress the use of the word girl. So I think there's a real hypocrisy there.
Yes.
But I think there's also a bit of a moral cowardice. I really do.
Yes.
I mean, schools, when I was young, schools took a moral lead.
Yes.
I don't remember teachers marching in and
yes,
having everything changed
yeah,
to acquiesce to what their idea of teaching would be.
Yes, but that's the case with all kinds of things. This is not just with regard to this issue, but with regard to everything. Schools used to take a moral stance on things and used to lead the way for a society.
But you do to a degree.
Yes, we do. But
see, school is the government. The government doesn't have to have morals, whatever. They need to teach the kids how to read and write and do arithmetic and all that kind of stuff. Morality should not be taught by a government. I don't care how good the government is.
I think we're quite...
And you've become very polarising as a result for
yes,
reasons that completely baffle me.
Yes.
I mean, you run a school which is run on discipline and hard work ethic, yes, and politeness, yes, and respect.
Yes.
These used to be things that we thought made our country great.
I know. And
what's going on? Why are you suddenly a villain?
I don't know. It's a very good question. You would think that this would be what all of us want, but society has changed. That's the thing. So then when you're saying it's the fault of schools, but you look at this, I stand up for...
No, society hasn't changed all the way. It's the deep state. They are changing the schools and the colleges, and then the teachers come out of college, go and become teachers in public schools and teach the kids. Yeah. It's not that society wants it. They're being brainwashed into wanting it, into thinking that they have to do it or they're bad.
For traditional values, and I'm hated for it. So do you really expect all head teachers to do that? We're asking too much of them. But the real problem with that whole issue is when schools aren't communicating with parents, where schools are taking children down certain roads and are not letting parents know. And
are parents being too weak or too strong? I mean, are they having too much power now at schools, or are they being too weak with their kids, empowering them to have supposedly too much power.
Yeah, well, both, frankly. I think teachers and parents, we as adults, have abdicated authority and responsibility.